On Friday, we went live, and I wasn't ready to go live. My computer was doing stuff. So sorry, I was just playing with that one. I'm trying to put a smile on Aaron's face and also on Eduardo's. Well, it wouldn't give him a smile. Hi, everybody. I'm Frank Stanisci of Candid Frank Live, where you'll find us airing our views here on the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs. 2016 forward. Now joining me is Aaron William Freeland.
Hi, Frank. How are you? Figured I'd just let him fade. Oh, he's still going.
There you go. You didn't let me get it all in, man. I missed a little bit. So how are you doing, buddy?
Frank. Doing good.
That's good.
Doing good.
All right. So, tough work week for you.
It's been touch and go.
Not tough,
yeah.
but yeah, you know, every we come onto this show, and before we go to air, folks, we vent. We don't do it on. Well, sometimes I do it on the air, but we try not to. But here's the dealio. It's Monday, the start of a new week. The last thing you need is for stuff to start going wrong on Monday. We kind of hope for that on Tuesday, Wednesday, and hopefully as late as Thursday, so that Friday at least we have the look forwardness of the weekend. But it is what it is. Monday to Friday can be a long wait for things to get better. If weekends are how you get better, you got to wait a little longer. So everybody, welcome to Monday, a work week. For those of you that lost a lot of money on the NFL, I'm sorry to hear it. I didn't lose money, but I lost a lot of pride. Man, oh man, I bet for both losers on Sunday.
Yeah, I was only 1 of 4, but I was happy that 1 of 4 came through for me.
Yeah, I didn't have the privilege of even being 1 of 4. I'm just going to turn up my mic a little bit. Are you talking?
No, I'm not talking.
Oh, holy crap. Okay, that was a little loud. I don't know if you could hear that. Here, let me turn that down. Oh, boy. It's Monday. Holy crap. All right, let's start with shenanigans. And the shenanigans are always political at the start. So let's start with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his cabinet. They begin a 3-day retreat in Hamilton. So the hammer has been visited on or by the Liberal Party.
Yes, they basically settled down there to hammer out plans ahead of Parliament's turn next week. This is to sort of set the tone and establish agendas for the coming sitting. Now, as it stands, affordability and the threat of recession are currently top of mind for the Trudeau cabinet. They're going to have to discuss the ongoing effort to nail down a new federal provincial healthcare funding deal as well. The premiers have asked Ottawa to increase its share of healthcare spending as systems under Conservative premiers teeter on the brink of disaster after 3 years of COVID-19, with thousands of surgeries in the backlog and labor shortages exacerbated by pandemic burnout. Now, Trudeau has often said that there's more money coming, but he wants accountability from provinces that the money will be spent on things that will show meaningful improvement in patient care. Those include investments in family medicine, mental health, and digital medical records. However, most of the provinces are just saying, no, just give us the money. Just give us the money. We're not going to tell you where we're spending it. Just give us. Don't you trust us with the money? Just give us the money. It's working around that seems to be an issue.
Well, yeah. Let's talk about Quebec. No, let's stay in Canada. This one caught my eye, one of these stories that you sent me to look at. The CRA workers want an unprecedented pay raise of 30%, and that's over 3 years. So that's a guaranteed 10% raise every year.
Well, they're breaking it down based on how everything's going for the past little while. They're looking at a 30% increase in wages to currently just help them keep up with inflation, which some people are calling unprecedented, and others are calling crazy. But the Union of Taxation Employees, or UTE, is proposing a 9% one-time wage adjustment, followed by 4.5% retroactive to November 1st, 2021, 8% retroactive to November 1st, 2022, and then a further 8% effective November 1st, 2023. This is basically just to help them keep pace with what's been going on here. As of 2021, wages at the CRA were between 41 and 120,000, compared to the CBSA, which is 64.5 to 135,000. Their wages haven't kept pace with comparable government departments. So
Who's the other group? Get rid of the initials and tell us who they are.
Okay, let me just pull that up for you there, Frank.
Well,
It's not unfortunately mentioned in the article,
oh,
but
okay. Well, I'm just wondering what. So it's one department that gets paid a lot more than another.
yeah, we're talking about the Canadian Border Services Agency, the CBSA.
Okay.
So
So
they've been getting increases in wages that far outstrip what the CRA has been getting. So they're just trying to bring themselves back on par.
So they want to be treated the way that other group is being treated.
Exactly.
So I guess for me, I'd have to ask a question. Well, no, I won't ask the question. I'll just leave it hanging there. People can figure out the question. I don't have to say it. If you're part of a group, you have whatever, and if you're part of another group, you have other whatever. You want to be part of that group, you have to be in that group to benefit from that. For example, if I'm not in a union, my wages should go up 30% too, because inflation has affected me just the same way. But how come I don't get that? Well, because I'm not a member of the right group.
Yeah,
So
it all
I'm
depends
not
on who
against
you
them
know.
getting. I'm not against people getting raises. I'm one of those people that wonder that when one segment of society gets to say, well, we should be able to keep up with inflation, and people on minimum wage, they're not keeping up with inflation. Well, they haven't kept up with inflation for a very long
A
time.
very long time.
A
Yeah.
very long time. So, when it comes to wages, the last thing I'm going to do is criticize people for expecting more money or making the argument that they want a livable wage. I will never argue that against anyone, because everyone has a right to have a livable wage. It's just sometimes it seems some people get the attention, others don't. And I wish it could be across the board, but it can't. Life is more complicated than that, Aaron. That's what I'll say about that one. Quebec, Francois Legault accuses Justin Trudeau of attacking Quebec's democracy and people.
Mm-hmm. Basically, Legault is saying that his desire to sort of weaken the notwithstanding clause is a direct assault on the Quebec's nation's ability to protect its own collective rights. Quebec has invoked the notwithstanding clause to preserve their laity laws and to preserve a recent language law that they had proposed, mainly because they're saying, well, no Quebec government has ever adhered to the 1982 Constitution Act because it doesn't recognize Quebec as an independent nation. The fact that you're trying to weaken the notwithstanding clause, which is our largest tool to defend ourselves against these maudits anglais, is the sticking point here.
Well, the notwithstanding clause is a way of being discriminatory legally. Notwithstanding speaks to, and look, I'm not here to say that we should take the French language and tell people in Quebec they can't speak it, but the fact remains they are making it illegal, and no one has the right to speak the language of their choice. They must speak French, which to me is counterintuitive to everything that we talk about in life. But on the same token, because people only hear half of what I say because they only like half of what I say. So here's the other half. Sometimes people need protection, or the way it works, I think, is, folks, and you try to, in the process of protecting somebody against something, for example, like a language and a culture being buried by the mass amount of people, you have to enforce some sort of laws. But those laws also can be detrimental to human rights. So my point I'm going to make here is, it's like unions. It's the same argument I make for unions. Unions exist because if there weren't unions, those people wouldn't be getting paid what they deserve. That's the problem. But then within unions, there are people who take advantage of that position. I hope I'm making myself clear. It's lose lose. You can't win under those circumstances. So, a defensive mechanism. It was created as a defensive mechanism, but I think there are a lot of people who are in Quebec who want to do other than just speak French or just put French signs in their front of their stores, who feel that they're being discriminated against. It's for the reason that the French language is being protected, but in today's world, Aaron, that if you replace French with English, it would be discriminatory, and there would be lots of people. Like if in Toronto somebody said you can't put those signs in Italian or Chinese, if they said that, good
Mm.
lord, good lord, what do
Well,
you think would happen? So
yeah, and most recently, the notwithstanding clause has been used to protect Quebec's secularism law, which outlaws
absolutely,
yarmulkes and hijabs and
absolutely,
turbans and that sort of thing. It does nothing to outlaw crucifixes or the 6 foot tall silver crucifix that's in the Quebec legislature and Christianity, but it does effectively say that you cannot wear all these symbols on
while you're
other faiths that
working,
aren't Christian while you're working.
interacting with other
Yeah,
people.
exactly.
It's
Which
not that they're not giving up on the Christianity part of the heritage, but they're saying, well, we shouldn't be promoting any religion when interacting with people of any religion, right? That's the
exactly.
meeting point, right? So that's the whole point of the issue. That's how complicated it is, right? So, for those of you that side on one way or the other, um, have at it. I can't convince the other side, both sides, to agree. I know that's not going to happen. So, but that's my view on that. And I think it's very important that we protect people, and culture does need protection to a certain degree. Unfortunately, as does happen with everything, sometimes within the good intent comes malfeasance. I'm sorry, but it happens. I'm sorry, but it happens. Let's go to Ontario and let's talk about controversial medical officer who's critical of mask mandates. Now turns out he resigns.
Yeah, so in Haldimand and Norfolk County, Dr. Matt Strauss resigned after a rather controversial run. He said it was a great honor to serve the community, but he also said that he'd rather give his children COVID-19 over a Happy Meal. Um, he was originally brought in September of 2021, and the Ontario Liberals said, "Hey, come on, guys, you can't bring this guy in." Norfolk Mayor Amy Martin has confirmed that Strauss has resigned and said the Board of Health will be meeting in February to address the next plans on how we're going forward. When Martin was initially elected mayor last October, she said she wouldn't comment on Strauss at that particular time. She also said that she regretted voting in his support when she was a city councilor before becoming mayor. So.
Again, this is the same thing. Again, half in, half out. Straddling the fence. Where do you plant one foot? Where do you lift a foot? It's just impossible sometimes. You can't satisfy everybody. So all you can do, that's the beautiful beauty of democracy, right? You make a decision that you make in good faith or not, doesn't matter. You're sat in judgment by the voters. Results do matter. So, intent is important, but I think results matter even more. Let's go to Nova Scotia, and the community rallies behind a bid to preserve the home of Nova Scotia's first Black doctor.
So we are, of course, referring to Dr. Clement Ligour, recently late. He was the province's first Black doctor and an unsung hero of the 1917 Halifax explosion. Now, originally from Trinidad, Ligour graduated in 1916 with a medical degree from Queen's in Kingston. He later became editor of Nova Scotia's first Black newspaper, The Atlantic Advocate. He was also co-founder of the No. 2 Construction Battalion, Canada's only all-Black unit to serve during the First World War. The proposal to protect the house was filed last year and is being debated by regional council, and unfortunately it's not a done deal yet. But members of the public will not be allowed to speak to council because the application did not come from the current homeowner, who happens to be a developer. Lewis Lawland, the head of Dexel Developments, who now currently own the house, could not be reached for comment. There is a fear that part of Nova Scotia's heritage could be demolished by the current owner because they are a developer to make way for something else on that property. And it's an important piece of history that I think the province would do well to preserve.
Going to California, something that here in Canada, I think this speaks to the problem we have in Ontario. For those of you in other provinces, I'll leave you to figure that out. Here in Ontario, the biggest problem we have with weapons is that they're imported. They come here illegally. They're not made in Ontario. They're not made in Canada. They're made in the U.S. and they cross the border, and then they're used for crime. They're picked up illegally and they're used for crime. In California, we just had an example of that. California has a very strong anti-gun laws in California. They still don't know whether the gun was used in the recent mass shooting. 11 people killed. Aaron, tell us about it. It was an Asian killing other Asians at an event celebrating the Lunar New Year.
That's correct. The shooting happened late Saturday in the community of Monterey Park. Basically, what happened was the shooting was at the Starball Dance Room studio. The suspect went from there and fled in a white van to another location. The police, acting on a tip that they had received Sunday evening, they arrived at the van within 3 minutes of receiving the call. When they came there, they thought it was chaos. About 20 to 30 minutes after the first attack, the gunman entered the Lai Lai Ballroom in nearby Alhambra, California. But people there got the weapon away from him and he fled. Apparently, he did have another weapon in his vehicle, and by the time the police actually found the van, he was dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Yep, that was a ticket collector. He came in and saw him brandishing the gun, and then understood, or at least felt he knew, that this wasn't a question of a robbery. This guy was there to just indiscriminately hurt people. So he grabbed the gun, and they have it on tape. They have the struggle that they had, and eventually he got the gun from him. And like you said, and I want to add also that on the white van he had tags that didn't match his name. So intent is clear. He was clearly planning to do this, but then he took his own life. And the similarities and the concerns that we have in Ontario, the gun that he used is not a legally purchased gun in California. It has the extra magazine so that you can put more bullets, you can use more bullets. And that's the kind of stuff that we have to deal with when you live next door to a place that has different rules than you do. In Ontario, we could make sure there are no guns in Ontario. No, we can't, because the border of Ontario, cars can go across the border, so can guns. And that's the challenge with taking care of guns and trying to mitigate all these terrible incidents in the world. North American, we've had a few here in Canada as well.
It's not anything you can predict, and clamping down on this sort of thing is becoming increasingly difficult.
Well, the less guns there are, the less people get their hands on them, is my opinion, but that may be too simplified. I don't know. Let's talk about the Canadian Football League. Let's move to sports and let's have a little fun. The Argos decide to agree with and extend a player or two.
That's right. Robertson Daniel has agreed to a contract extension. He was set to become a free agent on February 14th. Now, he only played one game in 2022 after an injury sidelined him for the majority of the season. He originally came from Calgary in a trade in 2021 and played 2 games for the Boatmen that season, finishing with 5 tackles and 1 on special teams. So that was one of the signings. Frank, do you recall the second one? I broke after I'd actually set this list to you.
So. No, it's okay. I don't remember it either. It doesn't matter. Let's go to the Als.
All right. The Alouettes signed 4, including Hassis Dubois. They signed Dubois, who played for the Tampa Bay Bandits in the USFL last year. They also signed Tyler Sneed and Donald Stewart, as well as offensive lineman Jalen Burks. All 4 of those players are going to be Americans and playing for the Als this season.
Let's go to the Elks.
Now, Gainey has extended with the Elks for an 11th CFL season. For those of you not familiar with his work, Ed Gainey is back. It's his second season in the green and gold. He played all 18 games in 2022 and ranked 5th on the team with 47 defensive tackles.
Let's go. Well, we've got the Stamps Extend Moxie and move on to the NFL's Super Bowl chase. You got one right. I think I got two right if I'm lucky. I think I
Yeah,
got
the
two.
only one I got right was the Bengals.
Yeah, I think I only got Saturday right. I didn't get Sunday at all. Sunday was a disaster. But it'll be interesting. It's going to be a great. It's going to be a great conference finals and then a great Super Bowl. The Leafs and Habs. Pitlick scores in overtime to lift the Canadians 3-2 over the Leafs. Once again, we predicted this too, that, the Leafs play down to the level of some really bad teams, especially the teams that aren't playing well, that are in Canadian territory, and not Canadian territory, Canadian territory, which includes Canadian territory.
Yeah, they only played 40 minutes out of the total 60, so it's not really a surprise that they ended up on the wrong side of this. It was a great shot by Pitlick to close it out.
Well, I think it's an overall plan by the Leafs to make sure that Montreal doesn't finish last.
I think so. They may be playing spoiler when it comes to kind of an
They're spoiling their draft day. Let's talk about the Jets and Sens, two other Canadian. It was Canada Hockey Day, so the Jets played the Sens. The Jets are on a roll, man. They're the team they were a few years ago.
They have been playing particularly well. Scheifele has been absolutely on fire, so I'm glad to see that. DJ Smith has said that changes need to be made. Obvious, when you only get one goal against the Jets, that's going to be an issue. But Hellebuck was playing well.
Flames beat the Lightning.
Anderson had 2 goals and 2 assists for a 6-3 victory, so that's good.
And the Canucks president, Jim Rutherford, announced the hiring today of a new coach. The firing, imagine coaching 3 games, knowing you're getting fired and you haven't been fired yet.
Yeah, that was not handled well at all. Francesco
terrible.
Aquilini has been quiet on Twitter about the whole affair. Normally, he's very vocal about these sorts of things, but Jim Rutherford said that he didn't handle that well, and I think everyone will agree it was not handled well at all. Bruce deserved better.
In the midst of, it was, I forget what it's called. Well, sensitivity to people and feelings and emotions and treating people decently. They were promoting that as an organization while they were doing this.
Yeah, it's a bit of an
not
issue.
a good look. Not a good look. Anything else? I'll give you 30 seconds or something we missed.
No, I'm done. That's everything.
All right. He's Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank Stanisci for Aaron William Freeland. Oh my goodness.
Did you freeze, Frank? Because I think we're just about done here.
Thanks, Aaron. Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. I froze. I'm sorry. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live. Aaron, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Network for Candid Frank Live, other news and entertainment and sports programming we offer. Please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ciao for now.